I'm sitting here at my sister's house at 2 a.m., my 8-year-old daughter finally asleep in the guest room after crying herself into exhaustion, and I'm trying to process the fact that my marriage is over. Not because we fell out of love, not because of the usual reasons marriages end, but because my husband, the man I've been with for 10 years, the father of my child, deliberately trapped me and our daughter in our apartment during a massive snowstorm by stealing my car keys, all because he had plans he couldn't miss. And when our daughter's emergency surgery got denied because we couldn't make it to the pre-op appointment, he called me ungrateful for making a big deal out of nothing. So I served him with divorce papers this morning, and I need to tell someone this story because I feel like I'm losing my mind. Let me back up and explain how we got here, because this is so much worse than it sounds. My name is Caroline, I'm 33 years old, and until 3 days ago, I thought I had a solid marriage. Not perfect, what marriage is, but solid. My husband Derek and I met in college, got married at 23, and had our daughter Mia when I was 25. Derek works in finance, makes good money, and I work part-time from home doing graphic design so I can be available for Mia, who has some medical issues that require frequent appointments and careful monitoring. Mia was born with a congenital condition called hip dysplasia. Basically, her hip socket didn't form properly, and it's caused her pain and mobility issues her entire life. She's had 2 surgeries already, wears a brace sometimes, does physical therapy twice a week. It's been hard on her, hard on all of us, but we've managed. Her orthopedic surgeon, Dr. Patricia Walsh, has been amazing, patient, thorough, always available when we have questions. About 6 months ago, Dr. Walsh told us Mia would need another surgery. A big one. They needed to reshape her hip socket, a procedure called a periacetabular osteotomy. It's complex, requires months of recovery, but Dr. Walsh said it would dramatically improve Mia's quality of life and prevent arthritis later. The surgery was scheduled for January 15th, this coming Tuesday. But here's the thing about major orthopedic surgeries: insurance companies are absolute nightmares about approving them. Our insurance, Blue Cross, required extensive documentation, multiple pre-authorization requests, letters from Dr. Walsh explaining medical necessity, the whole bureaucratic circus. We'd been fighting with them since August to get approval. By December, we finally got preliminary approval, but with conditions. Mia had to attend a mandatory preoperative appointment on January 10th for final clearance, and I had to attend an insurance verification meeting at the hospital billing office on the same day. Miss either appointment, and the surgery would be cancelled and we'd have to restart the entire approval process, which could take months. Dr. Walsh had been very clear about this. Caroline, I cannot stress enough how important it is that you make these appointments. Insurance is looking for any reason to deny this procedure. Don't give them one. I'd marked January 10th on every calendar we owned. I'd set multiple phone reminders. I'd arranged my work schedule around it. I'd told Derek probably 50 times how critical this date was. And Derek had said, every single time, I know, babe. We'll make sure everything goes smoothly. Don't worry. Here's where things get complicated, and where I should have seen the red flags earlier. Derek owns 3 rental properties, small apartment buildings he bought as investments over the years. They've been good income for us, but they've also been a source of tension because Derek is weirdly obsessive about them. He checks on them constantly, deals with tenant issues personally instead of hiring a property manager, spends hours doing minor repairs himself to save money. I've always thought it was a bit much, but I figured everyone has their quirks. One of his properties is in a town about 45 minutes away, a 6-unit building in a small mountain community. In December, one of his tenants there, a young couple, gave notice that they were moving out at the end of January. Derek immediately started planning renovations for that unit so he could charge higher rent for the next tenant. He became obsessed with this renovation. He'd drive up there multiple times a week, sometimes staying overnight at the property. He started talking about it constantly, the new flooring he wanted to install, the kitchen updates, the bathroom retiling. It was all he could talk about. In early January, he told me he'd scheduled a contractor to come give him an estimate on January 10th. I immediately said, "Derek, that's the day of MIA's pre-op appointments. I need you here that day." "Why?" "You're the one taking her to the appointments. Because January 10th is also when the big snowstorm is supposed to hit. The weather service has been warning about it for a week. They are predicting 2 feet of snow, possible whiteout conditions, power outages. If the storm is as bad as they are saying, I might need help. And what if something goes wrong? What if Mia has an issue and I need you? The storm isn't supposed to start until the afternoon. Your appointments are in the morning. You'll be fine. Derek, please. Can't you reschedule the contractor? This is our daughter's surgery we're talking about. And this is our income we're talking about. This contractor is booked solid for the next 2 months. If I don't meet with him on the 10th, I lose 6 weeks of potential rental income while I wait for another contractor. That's thousands of dollars, Caroline. Our daughter's surgery is more important than rental income. I'm not saying it's not important. I'm saying you're overreacting. The appointments are in the morning, the storm isn't until the afternoon, and you're perfectly capable of driving Mia to the doctor without me holding your hand. I'll be back by evening, before the storm gets bad. We fought about it for days. I begged him to reschedule the contractor. He refused, said I was being dramatic, said I always made things into a bigger deal than they needed to be. Finally, I gave up. Fine. I'd handle it myself. I always did. January 10th arrived. I woke up early, around 6 a.m., because MIA's first appointment was at 9:30 and the hospital was 40 minutes away. I wanted to leave by 8:30 to have plenty of buffer time. The weather forecast was still predicting the storm would arrive around 2 p.m., so I figured we'd be fine, get there by 9:30, finish both appointments by noon, be home by 1 p.m., well before the snow started. Derek was already up when I came downstairs, dressed and drinking coffee. "I'm heading out," he said. "Contractors meeting me at 8. Okay. Please be safe driving. And please try to be home before the storm gets too bad." "I will. Good luck with the appointments. Tell Mia I love her." He kissed me, grabbed his coat, and left. I heard his truck start in the driveway, heard him pull away. I made breakfast for Mia, got her dressed, and at 8:25, I went to grab my keys from the hook by the door where I always kept them. They weren't there. I checked the counter, the table, my purse, my coat pockets. Nothing. I started tearing through the kitchen, the living room, increasingly panicked. It was 8:30, we needed to leave right now. "Mia, have you seen Mommy's keys?" "No, Mommy." I called Derek. Straight to voicemail. I called again. Voicemail. I texted, "Derek, I can't find my keys. Have you seen them? We need to leave now." No response. I kept searching. By 8:45, I was frantic. I'd looked everywhere. Every drawer, every coat pocket, every surface. My keys had vanished. And then I noticed something. Derek's spare truck keys, which he usually left on the counter, were also gone. He had 2 sets of keys to his truck. He usually left one set at home as a backup. But both sets were gone. A terrible suspicion started forming. I called Derek again. This time he answered. "Hey, what's up?" "Derek, I can't find my keys. I've looked everywhere. Did you see them this morning?" "No, haven't seen them." "Did you check your purse?" "Yes. I've checked everywhere." "Derek, We need to leave right now and I can't find my keys. Your spare truck keys are also gone, did you take those too? Yeah, I grabbed those this morning. I wanted to have a backup set with me in case something happened. Derek, I need those. I need to take Mia to her appointments and I don't have my keys. Caroline, calm down. Just use the spare car key. We have a spare. The spare is at your mother's house. You put it there 6 months ago for safekeeping, remember? Silence. Then, oh. Right. Derek, what am I supposed to do? The appointments are in an hour. Can you call an Uber? An Uber? Derek, we live in a rural area. There are no Ubers out here. And even if there were, it's a 40-minute drive each way, that would cost hundreds of dollars. Then call your sister. My sister is at work. She's an hour away in the opposite direction. By the time she got here, we'd have already missed the appointments. I don't know what you want me to do, Caroline. I'm 45 minutes away meeting with the contractor. I can't just leave. That's when it hit me. The full realization of what he'd done. Derek. Did you take my keys? What? No, of course not. Derek, I'm asking you directly. Did you take my car keys so I couldn't leave today? Caroline, you're being paranoid. Why would I do that? So I couldn't ask you to come home. So you wouldn't have to cancel your contractor meeting. So you could go to your rental property without me calling and begging you to come back. That's insane. You lost your keys, don't blame me for it. I didn't lose my keys. They were on the hook last night, right where they always are. And now they are gone, and your spare truck keys are gone, and you just happen to be 45 minutes away at the exact time I need to leave for the most important appointments of our daughter's life. Listen, I have to go. The contractor just got here. I don't know, reschedule the appointments or something. Reschedule. Derek, I can't reschedule. If we miss these appointments, the surgery gets cancelled. We've been fighting with insurance for 6 months. Then I guess you better figure something out. I'll be home tonight. He hung up. I stood there, phone in my hand, shaking with rage and disbelief. He'd done it. He'd actually done it. He'd deliberately taken my keys and his spare keys so I'd be trapped here, so he wouldn't have to deal with me calling him, so he could have his contractor meeting without any interruptions. I called the hospital, explained the situation to the scheduler. She was sympathetic but firm. I'm sorry, Mrs. Patterson, but if you miss today's appointments, the insurance pre-authorization expires. You'll have to restart the approval process from the beginning. How long would that take? Typically 3 to 6 months. I felt sick. Mia had been in pain for months, had been looking forward to this surgery, had been so brave about all of it. And now, because my husband had stolen my fucking keys, she'd have to wait another 3 to 6 months. I called Dr. Walsh's office, got her on the phone, explained everything. She was horrified. Caroline, I don't even know what to say. Is there any way you can get there? Could someone drive you? I've called everyone I can think of. Everyone's either at work or too far away. What about a taxi service? Medical transport? I've tried. There's nothing available that can get here fast enough. She sighed. I'm so sorry. We are going to have to cancel the surgery and restart the insurance process. I'll help however I can, but this is going to delay things significantly. By 10 a.m., it was over. The appointments were missed. The surgery was cancelled. And the snow had started falling, not the afternoon storm they'd predicted, but early morning snow, light at first but steadily increasing. I spent the day in a haze of fury and despair. I couldn't stop crying. Mia kept asking me what was wrong, why we weren't going to the hospital, and I didn't know how to explain to an 8-year-old that her father had deliberately sabotaged her surgery. The snow got worse. By noon, it was coming down heavily. By 2 p.m., visibility was near zero. By 3 p.m., the power went out. The storm was worse than predicted, what they were now calling a once-in-a-decade weather event. Roads were closed. The governor declared a state of emergency. Derek called at 4 p.m. "Hey, bad news. The roads are closed up here. I'm stuck at the property until they clear them, probably tomorrow." "You're stuck?" "Yeah. But I'm fine, the property has a generator and plenty of food." "How are you guys doing?" "How are we doing? How are we doing?" "Derek, you stole my keys, you trapped us here, you made us miss Mia's surgery appointments, and now you're stuck at your rental property." "I didn't steal your keys. And I told you the roads are closed, it's not like I can get home even if I wanted to. You did this on purpose. You took my keys so you could go to your meeting without me bothering you." "Caroline, you're being crazy. I didn't take your keys. You lost them. And yeah, I'm stuck here, but that's the weather's fault, not mine. We'll deal with the surgery stuff when I get home." "We'll deal with it." "Derek, the surgery is cancelled. Mia has to wait another 6 months. 6 months of pain and physical therapy and uncertainty because you couldn't miss a fucking contractor meeting. Don't curse at me. I'm doing my best here. And you know what? I'm sick of you always making me the bad guy. I work hard to support this family. I provide for us. Those rental properties pay for Mia's medical care. Maybe if you appreciated what I do instead of always complaining, we wouldn't have these problems." I hung up on him. I was shaking so hard I dropped the phone. We spent that night huddled in blankets. The power stayed out. The temperature in the house dropped to 50 degrees. Mia was scared and cold, asking about her surgery, asking why Daddy wasn't home. I lied and told her the surgery was just rescheduled, everything was fine, Daddy was safe, and would be home soon. But inside, I was done. Completely done. Because as I sat there in the dark, freezing, comforting my scared child, I realized this wasn't the first time Derek had prioritized his rental properties over our family. It wasn't the first time he'd dismissed my concerns as overreacting. It wasn't the first time he'd made me feel crazy for being upset about legitimate problems. I thought about the time last year when I'd had the flu, was barely able to get out of bed, and had begged him to come home early from checking on a property to help with Mia. He'd said I was being dramatic, and that I could handle it. I thought about the time Mia had fallen off her bike and cut her head, needed stitches, and I'd called him crying, and he'd sighed and said, "Can't you just handle it? I'm in the middle of showing a unit to potential tenants." I thought about how he always talked about his rental properties, his rental income, like I wasn't part of the equation, like I didn't contribute to our family. I thought about how he'd looked me in the eye and lied about taking my keys, had actually tried to make me think I was crazy, that I'd lost them, when I knew he'd taken them. The power came back around 3 a.m. The roads were cleared by noon the next day. Derek came home at 2 p.m., cheerful, acting like nothing had happened. "Hey. We made it through the storm. Wasn't that crazy? How's my girls?" Mia ran to him, hugged him. "Daddy. I missed you. I missed you too, princess. I brought you a present. I stopped at that toy store on the way home, got you that doll you wanted." She squealed with delight. "And I watched this man buy our daughter's forgiveness with a toy while knowing he deliberately sabotaged her surgery, and something inside me broke." That night, after Mia was in bed, I confronted him. "Where are my keys, Derek?" "What? My keys? Where are they?" I don't know, you lost them, remember? I didn't lose them. You took them. And I want them back. He sighed, went to his coat, reached into an inside pocket, and pulled out my keys. Just pulled them out, casual as anything, like it was no big deal. You had them the whole time. I was going to give them back, I just forgot. You forgot. Derek, you stole my keys. You trapped me here. You made us miss MIA's surgery. Okay, fine. Yes, I took your keys. I knew if I didn't, you'd call me every 5 minutes freaking out about the weather, asking me to come home, and I'd end up missing the contractor meeting. I needed that meeting, Caroline. I needed it for our financial security. You chose a contractor meeting over our daughter's surgery. I didn't think you'd actually miss the appointments. I thought you'd figure it out, call someone, work it out like you always do. You're resourceful, you always handle everything. I handle everything because you never help. And this time, I couldn't handle it, because you made sure I couldn't. Well, I'm sorry, okay. I made a mistake. We'll reschedule the surgery. It's not the end of the world. Not the end of the world. Derek, Mia has to wait 6 more months. 6 months of pain. She'll survive. Kids are resilient. And that was it. That was the moment. The casual dismissal of our daughter's suffering. The complete lack of remorse. The way he stood there, acting like I was overreacting to him literally sabotaging her surgery. I want a divorce. He laughed. Actually laughed. Caroline, come on. You're upset, I get it, but don't be dramatic. I'm not being dramatic. I'm dead serious. I want a divorce. I'm done. His smile faded. You don't mean that. I do. You stole my keys. You trapped me here. You deliberately made us miss appointments you knew would cancel her surgery. And then you called me ungrateful for being upset about it. I'm done, Derek. I'm completely done. Caroline, listen. No. I'm leaving. I'm taking Mia to my sister's, and I'm filing for divorce. You can't just take Mia. Watch me. You can talk to my lawyer. I packed bags for me and Mia that night. Told her we were having a sleepover at Aunt Rachel's house. Left while Derek stood in the living room, looking stunned. I called a divorce attorney the next morning. A woman named Jennifer Wu, who specialized in family law and came highly recommended. I told her everything, the stolen keys, the missed appointments, the cancelled surgery, the pattern of prioritizing his properties over his family. She listened, took notes, and then said, Mrs. Patterson, I think you have grounds for fault-based divorce on the basis of cruel and inhuman treatment. What he did was deliberate sabotage of your daughter's medical care. A judge will not look kindly on that. I just want full custody and enough support to cover MIA's medical expenses. We'll get you both. Don't worry. The papers were drafted by end of day. I had them served to Derek on January 13th, 3 days after the storm. He called me immediately, furious. You actually served me with divorce papers. Are you insane? No. I'm finally sane. Finally seeing clearly. Caroline, this is ridiculous. Okay, I made a mistake, but ending our marriage over it. Think about Mia. I am thinking about Mia. I'm thinking about the fact that her father stole my keys to prevent us from getting to her surgery appointments. I'm thinking about the fact that he called me ungrateful for being upset about it. I'm thinking about the fact that she deserves better than a father who treats her medical needs as an inconvenience. I love Mia. I love you. This was one mistake. No, Derek. It was the last mistake in a long pattern of mistakes. You've been putting those properties above our family for years, and I've made excuses for it, rationalized it, told myself you were just stressed or working hard. But stealing my keys? That wasn't stress. That was deliberate cruelty. That was you deciding a contractor meeting was more important than our daughter's surgery. And I won't accept that anymore. Caroline, please. Talk to your lawyer, Derek. We're done. I've spent the last week at my sister's house, working with Jennifer to move the divorce forward. Derek has tried to call probably 100 times. He's sent flowers, sent apology letters, even showed up at Rachel's house once, begging to talk to me. I've refused every time. Mia asks about him constantly. When is Daddy coming? When are we going home? And I have to explain, in age-appropriate terms, that Mommy and Daddy aren't going to be together anymore, but that Daddy still loves her and she'll still see him. She cried for 2 days straight. And every time I see her cry, I think about how Derek did this. He destroyed our family over a contractor meeting. He chose rental income over his daughter's health. He called me ungrateful when I objected to being sabotaged. Jennifer says we have a strong case. The stolen keys, the deliberate prevention of medical appointments, his own admission on the phone that he took them, it's all documented. She thinks we'll get full custody, with supervised visitation, until Derek completes parenting classes. Derek's lawyer has already reached out, wanting to negotiate. Apparently Derek's mother called him after he told her what happened, and she screamed at him for an hour. His father hasn't spoken to him since. His friends think he's lost his mind. Even his sister, who usually takes his side in everything, told him he really screwed up this time. Good. He should lose relationships over this. He should face consequences. Because I spent years making excuses for him, years telling myself his obsession with the rental properties was just him being a good provider, years convincing myself that I was overreacting when I got upset about him missing family events for property issues. But this time, there were no excuses. He'd crossed a line so far over the boundary of acceptable behavior that I couldn't pretend anymore. My daughter needed to get to a medical appointment that would determine whether her surgery, her pain relief, her mobility, her quality of life, could proceed. And my husband stole my keys to prevent it because he had a meeting with a contractor. A meeting that could have been rescheduled. A meeting that he prioritized over his 8-year-old daughter's health. And when confronted, he called me ungrateful. He laughed at me asking for a divorce. He acted like I was being dramatic for objecting to sabotage. So yeah. I served him divorce papers. I'm taking my daughter, getting full custody, and moving on with my life. Because I refuse to spend one more day with a man who thinks rental income is more important than his child's surgery. People keep asking me if I'm sure, if I'm acting too hastily, if I should give him another chance. And my answer is always the same: he stole my keys knowing what would happen. He trapped us in that house during a snowstorm. He made us miss appointments that cancelled a surgery my daughter desperately needs. And then he called me ungrateful for being upset about it. There is no coming back from that. There is no amount of apologizing or flowers or promises that erases the fact that when it mattered most, when my daughter needed him, he chose rental property renovations. And I choose her. I choose Mia. I choose protecting her from someone who would sacrifice her well-being for financial gain. So yeah. That's my story. My husband stole my keys before a snowstorm, my daughter's surgery got denied, he called me ungrateful, and I served him divorce papers. And I'd do it again in a heartbeat.